so excited to share with you about my new book, Bootstraps and Raw Straps, how to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. Hi everyone, this is Sheila Mac, and I am here with my good friend, and he is someone I met while doing some of the Platinum Partner programs with Tony Robbins. He's an incredible person, and he was one of the top 1% real estate agents in the country. And then he hit a rock bottom, and his rock bottom was that he ended up going to jail, going to prison, I believe, and having this really interesting situation happen where he was charged with many different things. And now he's going to tell us how he went through that and got back into action. So introducing Vickram.
What up, Sheila?
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for that intro. Makes me feel like I want to know that guy.
Yes.
Well, where do you want me to start?
Well, give us a little bit about your background and what your rock bottom was or what your situation was.
Okay, everybody. I am Indian. I came from Memphis, Tennessee. My parents are Indian, so this is why I'm talking like this. So just, an Indian kid, grew up, normal household, right? Normal dysfunctional household that we all live in. Dad's a doctor, so, in the higher social economic bracket, you guys could call it. And, had a fairly normal childhood. I mean, our parents shipped us away for a couple of years to boarding school when we were kids. I'm sure that did some damage, good and bad, like everything. And, I've always been a hustler. I've always loved sales. I've always loved making money. I've always loved helping people. And so I've always wanted to find ways to make money while helping people and doing things that I love. Mm-hmm. And I've always believed that if your product is good, then you can have no problem selling it. But if you don't believe in it, it's not going to work for you. And in 15 or 16, I'm not sure when, but I was dating this beautiful young gal, and I was on top of my business game. I had a decent sized real estate team. We were doing pretty decent volume, and we were on track to really exploding, to really exploding. I mean, we had already exploded, but we were on track to have like another huge growth when I was dating this gal. And I at one point I think I was going to marry her. I think I wanted to marry her, but I was am I allowed to swear?
We can always bleep it out.
Okay. As such a D head. And I was selfish, and it was all about me. And it was, although I did a lot of things, it was still like the Vickram show. Mm-hmm. And when I would go out drinking, and I would drink regularly, I would turn into a different person. And all the insecurities that I had as a kid, and all the things that I didn't like about myself would come out, and all the things that I wanted to be would start to show up, like be really confident around women and be the life of the party. Like I enjoy that, right? I enjoy the spotlight on me. I think that's one of my qualities, is that I don't mind having the spotlight on me, whereas a lot of other people run from the spotlight. And I ended up, going out one night, and I had cheated on my ex-girlfriend a few times when I was drinking, and just wasn't the greatest of human beings. And I had many, when there's a story where a guy's stranded on a boat, and he says, a boat comes by, and the guy says, "Hey, do you need a hand?" He's like, "No, I'm waiting for God." "Okay, good luck." Another guy comes by, "Hey, do you need it?" "No, I'm waiting for God." "Okay, good luck." A third guy comes by, he's like, "Hey, do you need a hand?" He's like, "Nope, I'm waiting for God." He's like, "Hello, I'm here. I'm a God sending me, like, wake up." So I was like that. I kept asking for things, but I ignored what was in front of me. Mm-hmm. And I always wanted more, better, bigger, faster. And you from the real estate world, you know how competitive it can get when you're always after the numbers. Like, you don't even care anymore about the money. You're just trying to beat everybody else. It's like, after a couple $100,000 for most people, their lives are not going to change by making another $50,000. And so I was making plenty of money. And so the next jump for me was a way bigger step. So it wasn't about the money. It was just about the numbers. It was about winning. It was about being the best. But in being the best in business, I lost being the best as myself.
I see. Yes.
And one night out drinking and ended up hearing that my girlfriend at the time, my ex-girlfriend now, sitting on some guy's lap, kissing him. And, I can't blame her because I probably wasn't really there emotionally for her now that I look back at it. And I probably thought I was, but I really probably, in reality wasn't. And so eventually, you're gonna get attention from other people. And she's a hottie. And so she got attention from other guys. And one night, one thing led to the other, and she had a couple drinks and was on a guy's lap. And I caught wind of it. And so then I went to some other girl's house for retaliation sex. Ended up not getting that. So then I was really pissed off. And now I'm like, how I still am alive is only because of the divine universe. But anyways, got arrested that night for doing property damage. And just for those who don't know, all the shit you see in movies where couples fight and break things, that's considered domestic violence by the police. So I got arrested for domestic violence, which is crazy because I'm a big advocate and I support a lot of charities that fight domestic violence. But what I realize is that, domestic violence really isn't, it's not just violence, it's bullying, it's a lot of different things that come across, and they just put it under the title of DV. But property damage in a significant others or your own home is actually considered domestic violence.
Wow.
Yeah. And so when I do things, I do them right. So I kicked the door in, I threw a chair, broke some blinds, made a mess of some plants, threw some shoes that I had just bought her, some Gucci shoes. So that all added up to like, $7,000-8,000, and anything over like 500 is a felony.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I also broke her cell phone. So that's considered, that was considered like it's like entrapment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she hit me with her cell phone, so I grabbed it and threw it. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I was so drunk. It was 4:00 in the morning. Like, you don't know what you're doing, but it's just a little blip of time can change your entire life for good or for bad.
Right.
And so ended up for 2.5 years, it was almost 3 years from start to finish. I had a restraining order against me. And we lived like this far apart. I mean, we were like out of her condo window, she could see into my living room.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I lived with my blind, and I'm a person that walks around naked, blinds open. Like, I hate shutting my windows.
Well, we got you dressed today for this, so for this interview.
Barely, I almost took my shorts off. I always took my shorts off and just sat down, but it's too hot here in Bakersfield. I'd be sweating against the leather. My butt cheeks would be sticking on there. And I was like, it's the news anchor outfit.
On your story, let me ask you now, what was your age when you got to top 1%, and around this time, around how old or young were you at that point?
So I got into real estate like 28, 29, maybe 30 is when I started selling. And I come on hot typically when I do things. I come in real hot. So I learned a lot. I hired a coach, and, I just made phone calls, did what they told me to do. It wasn't rocket science. It's just sales. So you can't have appointments unless you call people, and so you gotta do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was probably like 34, 35, and we were crushing it. I mean, we weren't doing a lot of sales, but our volume was high because of our sales price, because we were able to tap into a market that it's not an easy market to tap into. Everybody says, oh, well, you sold 50 houses. I'm like, yeah, but those 50 houses was like the work of 200, because these people are executives at these big companies, or doctors or attorneys or lawyers. You know, they're buying $1, $2, $3, $4 million properties. There's a little bit more hand holding that needs to get done for some of them. And a lot of our customers were foreigners.
Uh-huh.
So they didn't even know how the US system really worked. So it was a lot of education. And so, and our market's super, I mean, I was in Seattle, and that was one of the most competitive markets in the world to sell real estate in. And so we just had to be at the best of our game. And we always were increasing our skills. So I was like mid 30s.
And then you had this other side to your life with
Yeah.
romance and the drinking. And I mean, I know you as this amazing, incredible, fun, outgoing guy that would never need a drink to get in front of the limelight or spotlight or get in front of people. So how did you make the shift when you got to that place where you had these charges against you, and how long were you in jail or prison or?
No, I was in like they call it work release. It's
Okay.
so you only sleep there, and then I was able to figure out a way to get it so that I never had to stay there for more than 12 hours at a time. So even though I was in jail, I was never in like real jail,
Okay.
other than the holding cells. But I was able to finagle my way to come up with some sort of story to the parole off, or whatever they call the guy, the work release authority. So I
Oh,
never had to spend more than, huh?
probation officer.
No, it wasn't probation. I never got probation because I did time.
Okay.
But yeah, so I didn't have probation. There was a restraining order or no contact order, so I couldn't be near her for, I don't know, however long it was, which was really crappy. So it was like COVID, but
Right.
I did it to myself. So I know what it's like to be on home quarantine, because I would go to my office, I'd come home, and I wouldn't leave my house for like 6 months because we would see each other. We would go to the same places. And if
Mm.
she showed up, I had to leave.
Oh, wow. That was
Yeah.
difficult.
So I just stayed home, and I ended up losing a bunch of weight and getting really depressed. And I still went to work every day though. I mean, I still went to work. Like I didn't want people to know, but there's a picture of me holding a dog at a Christmas party, and I looked like I was an anorexic crackhead. Like, I mean, it was bad. I looked like just super sucked up. I went down to like 150 pounds, super skinny, and my body started deteriorating really fast. Like it was really bad. I mean, it was really bad. And you just start deep diving into personal growth. Like, why am I doing these things? Why do I feel like I need to drink as much as I drink? Why do I feel like I need to hook up and have sex with every woman that says hello to me or looks at me? Like, why do I feel like they're just objects for my personal enjoyment? Why won't I have relationships with people? Why can't I show up the way I want to? Right? You start asking some really deep questions. You
Mhm.
start getting some really freaking crazy answers. And my assistant, my assistant, so I had a, during this whole thing, towards the end of it, I fired a person who had been with me for a long time. Well, I didn't fire her, but her life had changed. And so her work status has changed, and her ability to do what I needed her to do changed. And she was making 100 grand plus a year. So at that point, I was like, hey, we need to do something differently, because you're not able to work the hours you're working. And because of that, your quality has dropped. So I hired this other girl to replace her, and she ended up stealing from me. But she introduced me to Tony Robbins in live. So there was a Tony Robbins live event. I know who Tony Robbins was prior, but there was a live Tony Robbins event where he was a guest speaker, and he talked for 8 hours, as Tony does. He had a 30-minute slot, and it was like 9 hours later. We leave at 4 o'clock in the morning type of stuff. And I booked UPW for 6 weeks later. And then at UPW, I signed up for Platt. So right as I'm coming out of the end of the 3-year period, 2017, I'm coming towards the tail end of that. I was introduced to Tony formally, officially, in person I watched him. This is when Tony wasn't doing very well, like health-wise. He had mercury poisoning and he was going through a lot of stuff. I saw
Mm-hmm.
him on stage and I'm like, holy shit, this dude's gonna die on stage doing what he loves. And I'm just gonna fucking die, like locked up in my own apartment, hating myself. I gotta make a change. So I went to UPW, started listening to podcasts, started listening to more Audible, started to get on a morning routine, went to the gym, I came home, like I just made a routine that was so full and packed all day long that there was no other room for anything else. Like it was just you're busy from morning, like you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you get to the gym by 5, you get to the office at 6:37, you shower at the gym, you don't even go home. Dog stayed in my car when I was at the gym. All right. So in Seattle, you can leave your dog in your car for 5 hours. It's not going to make a difference. In the wintertime, it's so cold. So I had a blanket in there, had him in the back of my truck. Um, and he would stay there for, he'd just sleep in there while I went to the gym, shower, sauna, steam room, boom, go to work. And he went with me everywhere. So boom, goes to work. My, one of my team members would come in around 9:30. She would take him for a walk. I would just crank out phone calls, do what I needed to do. And I just stayed so busy that I didn't even think, like, I just couldn't think anymore about it. Cause after like 6 months of home arrest, I was like, I'm done. Like I did the time.
Mm-hmm.
I, I've served my justice. I can no longer hold myself at guilt anymore for making a mistake. Like I fucked up. I fucked up, right? The fuck up didn't kill anybody. Thank God, knock on wood. It did some damage to people. It probably scared the shit out of her. I don't know. We've never talked. So I don't know what the impact on her was, but I can't just keep hurting myself. And I think at some point you have to forgive yourself, right, in order to move on to the next level.
I love that. That's very important. So, um, I share about the Boots formula. So one of the things, the B in the Boots formula is being. So for my idea in this is you were being a certain way and you had to be different in order to change your situation in life. So that was a big thing that you had to do differently is change how you were showing up
Right.
in your work and in your relationships. It sounds like you had a great relationship with your dog. That's very
Greatest dog ever.
Yep. So it was a start, right?
Yep.
And yeah, so it's who you're being. And then during that 6 months time, did you do a process where you looked at where you were at? I think you mentioned it. This is where you were at. You had this arrest, this situation, and this is where you wanted to go. And you decided that you had to change and you changed your goals on how you were going to show up. And,
Yeah.
and did you do some type of order of how you were going to set it up in your mind, or it just kind of showed up for you as far as order of operations once you had those two pieces?
Oh no, there was no order of operation.
Stepping one step at a time.
It was literally just get up every day. It was get up, get out, leave the house. Lucky for me, I got the dog,
Yes.
and he ended up becoming my best friend because I didn't want to go to restaurants anymore. I didn't want to go to bars anymore. I still wanted to go out and socialize, but I couldn't go to the same places and expect a different result because
Mhm.
I hadn't changed.
Yes.
Nothing had changed in me. So I couldn't just keep doing and pretending that things were changed when I knew that they weren't. And so I would be an imposter. So I cut out alcohol for, 1 to 2 years. Um, I just cleaned up a bunch of stuff.
So you
And
changed your thinking a little
yeah,
too.
and I grew up. And, one of the things that I realized is that, one of my mentors, so I've done a lot of self development. I mean, people talk about having a PhD. I have a PhD in self development over the last 3 years.
Yes.
I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, as you know,
Yes, I know.
uh, and I've spent thousands, not hundreds, not tens, but thousands of hours listening to podcasts and audibles and to thought leaders and reading and researching and going to events and being around people like you and the other, really amazing people in the look, Tony Robbins might not be for you, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with you liking or not liking somebody. I'm not gonna, get my panties in a bunch because I know that he's not for everybody. But his teaching still is there, and it doesn't matter where it comes from. The content is still there. It's still amazing. It's still helpful. And so, we just deep dive, and it's like, holy crap, I can see a lot of things. And people say, oh, well, it's taking so long. I said, well, yeah, you didn't just become so fucked up overnight. It took you 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 or 70 years. So you don't just unwind it because you went to one 3-day seminar.
Exactly.
It takes work. And you go to the seminars, you meet the people, and then those people, like you and I can tell you anything.
And I think that what tends to happen is when you have one area of your life, whether it's a relationship or work, whatever it is that you're having an issue in, or a situation like, the drinking affected your relationship, which affected other parts of your life. And when you start repairing you, all those other areas fall into place, but it does take time. And that's something, and work. And sometimes you need to have a support group, a community to connect with, and different things that you're going to use. You're not just going to go to one thing or one program or one event, because you're applying everything you can to get yourself to the next level. Now, Vikram, I have a question for you. What would you do? What would you tell somebody, maybe a young girl that was your girlfriend's age that had an abusive situation and it wasn't you? What would you tell her to do differently, or to do from a, now that you're at a different place? What would you say?
So I'm going to rewind 2 steps and then I'll answer your question.
Okay.
So my mentor that I've been working with, last year, I did a crazy boot camp with him, because I always was under the impression that if you have relations with multiple people, then that makes you bad. And yet I'm a man that has desires and needs, and I like being a wild man. Like, I just enjoy it. Now, when the right woman comes along and tames my heart, maybe, I don't know, yet to happen. And so at this point in my life, I want companionship, but I also want the ability to be free. I value my freedom. He said, as long as you're honest with the people you're with and you don't lead them on, you can do whatever you want with whoever you want, whenever you want, wherever you want, however you want. He said, there's no right or wrong. I'm married, you're not. You're not wrong, I'm not right. We're both right, because that's what, now if you want to be married and have a relationship and a family, like in my world, this is what you should do. But if you don't, this is what you should do. He's like, and I got friends that are players. He's like, and I got friends that are, they're at church every day that they can be. He said, but that doesn't affect me because I am me, and that's it. So if I were to tell a woman or a young girl, a young woman, not a girl, a young woman, if they're in an abusive relationship, one is, you know when the relationship's not working. I knew that the relationship wasn't working. I loved this girl. On paper, she was she was the perfect person, but we weren't the right relationship.
Yes.
And there were signs from a long time ago. We had conversations. I wrote letters and telling her how much I cared about her and loved her, and I was sorry and I was going to change. And I would be emotionally unavailable to her. Because how can I be emotionally available to her when I'm not even emotionally available to myself?
Mm-hmm.
And there's signs. We didn't get into crazy fights. Like, we would get into a couple of arguments here and there. But we didn't get into like the crazy fights that people got into. One night, she said that I grabbed her by the neck really strongly, and like she was scared, and I was drunk, and I don't even really, I remember it because she reminded me of it, but I don't really remember it. Like I can see it from a ghost perspective, but I don't remember it. She's like, you grabbed me so hard by my neck. And I'm like, really? She's like, I'm like, why? She's like, we were fighting, we were arguing. And I was like, I'm going to my house. I'm going home. And you just grabbed me. She's like, I don't know if you grabbed me, like just thinking it was my arm. She's like, you were faded. You were 16 sheets to the wind 5 hours ago. And you were drinking shots and, being the man, right? The man, and the ego was controlling it. But there's signs, and you gotta be smart. And I'll tell you, the unknown is sometimes better than the known, because most people don't want to leave the security of knowing, okay, I'm with this guy, I know what he's like. I'm with this girl, I know what she's like. There's signs that we show. I mean, she said it, you're not emotionally available. Well, if you're not emotionally available, that's a sign that you're not in a good relationship.
And it may just be timing. It may be
Yeah.
one person in a relationship. What I found is that if the two people, or how many people, whatever, nowadays,
Right.
whoever agrees upon their relationship,
Just not that.
yeah, you got to catch those. But anyway, if they agree upon whatever they're going to have as a relationship, then that's their agreement. And so it's so important to be honest. And if one person is coming in looking for the fairy tale marriage, or the, coming from your culture, marriage is a huge thing. I know lots of my friends that are from India, they got to get married, and it's like your parents push you on getting married. And I'm like, I don't get it. Why would you want to get married when you're not ready? Or, but it's a different thought process. And so when you're in a relationship and somebody's thinking, yes, we're going to get married because that's what you're supposed to do, and the other person's like, no, I'm suffocated, I don't want to do that right now. Now's not the time. And it may be your now, in that you don't want to be tied down to that model. Or if you find somebody that's completely free like you are, and you're like, hey, we can have fun and we can do this and we have our agreements, you may jump into that relationship and be like, this is the best ever. But if you don't find something that aligns with where you're at in your life, it's kind of not being in integrity and honest with the other person. If you're pretending, I'm going to marry you, I'm going to show up, we're going to have this or that. So integrity, look at this. Yes. So integrity is everything. I mean, I don't know, as a woman, I think it's really important to just be honest about things when you go into a relationship. It's just easier for everybody.
And that's an age thing. I mean, it was hard to tell somebody in the past, like, hey, I like you and I want to hang out with you. I want to have sex with you. I want to be intimate with you. I want to have conversations with you. I just don't want to be in a relationship with you. And for some people, it's like, okay, well, we'll try it out.
Yeah.
A lot of people, though, when you say that, they think, oh, I can change him. I can change her. And
Yes.
I can change myself. I can't change you.
Mm-hmm.
And so when people start getting into this whole, maybe I can change him, maybe I can change her, you're not in it for the right, you're not in the relationship for you. Exactly. You're in it for, you're not in it for them, you're in it for you.
That's right, because the essence of the person, who they're being, who they show up as on this planet, that's the beauty in them. That's the part that you love about them. And if you don't let them or want them to be who they are, then you're loving a fantasy person. That's not your person.
Exactly.
So, yes, it's really important. And there are people that align, that they want freedom, and they have a wonderful companionship and fun, and that's what they want. So success in a relationship is a different definition. If you surveyed 1,000 people, it'd be different. So to have two people attracted to each other that align on that, come together, it takes time. And I love that, though, honesty and integrity.
And there's no, there's no wrong or right. That's one of the challenges. I almost use the word, that's what's wrong, right? That's one of the challenges in this world, is that in order for me to be right, I must make Sheila wrong. So my philosophies must trump Sheila's in order for me to be right. Well, what if I said, I'm right, and so are you, Sheila, because in your world, what you believe in is right. You know, I read on Facebook today or Instagram, somebody put why do people get so mad at me because I'm a Bible thumper? You know, I'm a Christian, I'm devout, I love the Bible, I love quoting it, right? And there's great passages in there as well as stuff that maybe isn't relevant, just like all books.
Right.
Now, maybe it's not relevant today, but it'll be relevant tomorrow, whatever. I don't care. But there's always good stuff in every book. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if somebody put pen to paper, there's got to be something of value in it, especially the amount of reprints the Bible's had. I mean, it's the most reprinted book in the world, probably. There's got to be something good in it. And just because somebody believes in one thing doesn't make them wrong and you right, or you right and you wrong. And that's what religion has done. It's divided people. I'm a Christian, you're a Catholic. I'm a Muslim, you're a Sikh, you're a Hindu, you're a this. No, it's just a belief system. It's one of my many belief systems. You're not wrong, you're not right. So he said, why do people have to be so mean? And like I feel like I'm being bullied to share that I love Christ and that Jesus might come back, or Jesus is coming back. And I like the post. I said, hey, good for you. Speak up.
Mm-hmm.
Speak your mind. I don't hate you. I don't care. Like if you start talking a whole bunch of things about religion, I might tune out and leave
Yeah.
because maybe it's not relevant to me, or being the student that I am, I might sit down and listen to learn, not because I'm going to convert over, but just because I want to be educated on what you think, because it makes me a better person to know how you think.
Mm-hmm.
I can disagree with you and think you're stupid, but I
Yeah.
don't have to be disrespectful to you. I don't have to tell you you're a dumbass.
Yes, and I mean, and that can go now for COVID and the different ideas and beliefs around mask, no mask. It's this, it's that. Treat it this way, treat it that way. Do this, do that. It's lizard people. I don't know, conspiracies, end times. There's so many different beliefs on what's going on, and the government doesn't even. Nobody knows. Who knows? But everyone
Government, the
has.
government has always been the same. Always do the opposite.
Yes, and but it's like in your home and in your life, whether you decide to wear a mask all day and gloves or nothing, or it's kind of like that's your deal, that's your business, and that doesn't mean I love you less. And
Right?
what I looked at first when I started getting messages from every single person and their belief and that I need to go do this and everything disagreed with the other 100%, and I said, wow, okay. But I looked at the essence of it and I thought they believe that with all their heart and soul. They
Right.
believe that like this is going to save your life, okay, or you could die. And so it's like you think of a loving parent and they're like, I'm sending you love, I want to protect you because I'm your friend and I care.
Right.
So I said, you know what? I'm going to take all the love energy and I'm going to leave all the other stuff that I don't really want to, tune into, the fear,
Right.
the whatever, and know that they're coming from their highest place of love and care to protect their friends and family.
Yeah.
And it may be completely what I don't agree with, but it's coming from that space. And
But it's
so
coming from the heart.
yes, and so I just kept that heart energy. And
That's
then I
good. That's
looked at
smart.
all the other parts of why I love that person as a friend. And I just left it at that, and I had peace.
No, and that's the way that it should be. You know, to me, what's going on in the world right now is, I mean, it's totally off topic, but that's just kind of how a good conversation rolls. To me, what's going on in the world is it's a fight for political power, and they're using the humans as pawns to their game, and they've always done it. We know that they've always done it. It's why the government's so hated, right? I mean, how many people think the government did a good job in 2019? Well, how many people think the government's doing a good job now? It's probably a lot different. People are probably very positive on the governments, and they haven't done anything different. There's still shitty governments, same shitty politicians that do the same crappy things, right? They all have their own agenda. They're not bad. Their agenda just doesn't align with my agenda because their agenda is to get reelected and they need money.
Mm-hmm.
Who's got money? Corporations. So you cater to the corporations. It's a bad deal. It's a bad deal long term. And so, the whole thing is that I don't like censorship, as you can tell. I I tried not to swear, but it just is who I is. I don't like to be censored. I don't want to be censored. I don't want you to be censored. I want us all to speak freely. If you want to wear a mask, wear one. If you don't, don't. If you feel like my lack of a mask needs, you need to be double protected, wear two masks. It's not like a condom where a second one's going to ruin it. You know, you can put two masks on and now you got double the protection. But put a face shield on, wear glasses. I don't have bad eyes. You can get glasses with just clear lenses. It protects you, right? A lot of things that can be done. But at the end of the day, the people that are super scared should not be going out. If you're that scared and if your health is, like COVID is real. Like COVID is real. It's a real disease. COVID, coronas are real. They just burn out after a couple of years. They come in hot, they burn out quick. By the time a vaccine typically rolls out, it's too late because the disease, the virus has lost its steam and it's mutating into a different virus.
Oh.
So how do we get to COVID-19, right? Well, what about all the COVIDs before it? You know, your Lysol bottle says COVID. So it just makes me think right now, instead of us talking about, the conversation right now shouldn't be about COVID. It should be about how do we, you know, I talk about containers. How do we stop the leaks in the body container that allows all the crap in? Well, we get stronger. We work out, we exercise, we go for walks, we do yoga, we do meditation, we become more mindful. We learn about the body. We change our, just like I had to change who I was to become who I wanted to be. You have to change your diet. You have to change this. You have to change that. You got to become responsible. You got to look at what you're putting in and putting out, right? If you got bad skin complexion, think about what your insides look like. Your insides are a reflection of your outside. No, your outside is a reflection of your inside.
So it sounds to me like you really did a complete lifestyle redesign on your terms.
I've been working very hard on that. Yes.
Beautiful.
Even with the business, it's like, you know, even with the business, it's like, I don't want to run business like my parents did, where I have to be there. I want to put systems and structures. I don't want to go into my business. I like it. I love hearing the stories, but I want to be like the celebrity that shows up once in a blue moon versus the person that's there every day.
Right.
And I want to have 100 of them, 1,000 of them, 1,000,000 of them. Why not? Like, who cares? All over the globe. Why not? But I don't want to be at every single one. I want to drop in and just like, wow, you guys rock. I'm going to leave now because I'm going to screw shit up. So I'm leaving before I break the system. But you guys are kicking butt. And then I talk to the management and I say, hey, why are we doing this, 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 and this? And see what they say. And then you coach them on whether or not it makes sense. I mean, they might have the best answer. I mean, there's times where I go in and I'm like, hey, we need to change this. And they're like, well, we did it because of this, 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 and this. And I was like, that makes actually a lot of sense. They're like, yeah, you're not here. You don't know what we need all the time. And I'm like, good point. So now I try to ask, hey, why are we doing this? And then I decide if I need to say anything afterwards or not. And most of the times, you don't. Because if you hire a good team, you empower and you train, then they don't need you. That's the other thing that kept me alive, is that I had a really good team of people around me. I ended up building a pretty good crew of people that I could talk to and trust. You know, unfortunately, some of those relationships got severed along the lines of, you know, me having to go on my journey because I didn't really get to pick up and leave the way I would have. It was just, I just didn't have anything left in my adrenal glands to deal with stress anymore. And it was just one day I was like, I'm done. And I didn't even know I was going to say it. It's just like, I'm done. And I just packed up and I left. My lease was up. I didn't buy any property in that city that I owned at the time. And it just was like, God's telling me like, hey, here's your lifeline, dude. Grab the boat, get on the yacht, go, run, baby. And, but I had a really good group of supportive people. And even though they knew what had happened, it's amazing how many people come out of the woodwork and will tell you that they've been through the same stuff. They just didn't get caught.
Yes.
Like, the stuff you did is not bad. If you continue down this path, you'll be a freaking a-hole and you'll deserve and receive everything you got. But, you know, and the other thing that I had to realize, Sheila, I think this is a big one. I think this is probably one of the most important things.
Hmm.
Nothing happens to you, it all happens for you. You just have to realize when it's happening for you, and you just have to accept that it's going to suck. You're going to eat crap for a while, right? You're going to eat crow for a while, and eventually it gets better. And it got better for us. I mean, I was able to travel the world for a year and barely be in my business and still have money coming in, and the system was still working, and people were still generating income, and things were not falling apart, and the world wasn't burning to the ground. And I didn't need to be there. So I was able to let go of some of that control. And when you let go of the control, you end up allowing yourself to control what you want to control, which is your time.
Very true. Yes.
So I guess if I had to wrap it up, um, just because we're hitting the top of the hour here, if I had to wrap it up, I would probably say good things happen to bad people and bad things happen to good people. I think sometimes bad things happen to good people because they need to know what it's like to feel that pain so that they can have empathy. And sometimes good things happen to bad people so that they can feel that rush of joy from doing the right thing. So maybe they start doing more of it. And the good people, maybe they stop being so judgmental, or they stop being so mean, or they stop being so whatever they are. And the bad, they're not bad people or good people. They're just making decisions that are in alignment with where their values are. So they're just making decisions where their values are. So if their values aren't with mine or society's, maybe they get some good luck. So the God is showing them, you know, when I say God, I mean the universe. The universe is showing them if you do things if you do things that are more for others, this is what happens. When you do things that are all about yourself, this is what happens. Do more for these things, do more of this. And it feels good. Like, you know, we can make this a regular reoccurring thing versus a one time. And then for, you know, people who are doing things that are aligning with the more of the positive vibrations versus the lower vibrations, the higher ones, it's just sometimes a little humbler to say, hey, relax, Turbo.
Yes. Yes. That's beautiful. Now, do you want to share about your business at all or what you're doing now that you've gotten back on track and into action in your life?
Yeah, so I own a OsteoStrong, which is awesome, but my passion is really with working with people. So that's why OsteoStrong's cool, but it's a brick and mortar, and that takes away my freedom.
Hmm.
So now I'm working more on laptop money versus brick and mortar money. So I've been focusing more on creating a coaching company, coaching business to help people get through these hard times, to help people see that, especially, not saying that it's especially, but I know what it's like being an ethnic person growing up in this world, and your parents sometimes really suck, and sometimes your parents just need to get punched, but you can't do that because, you know, as a good little brown boy, if you do that, you are like the devil's devil, and you're making your grandparents turn in their graves and their grandparents and their grandparents. So you just eat it and suck it up and have a life of shit because you never spoke your true words. And now you're 40 and you got kids and a wife, and you both hate each other, but you pretend like you love each other. And it's the why we have 50% of relationships ending, because nobody did any recon beforehand. So what we're doing now is I'm building out my coaching so that I can help with people's stuff, give them a sounding board where it's not judgmental. You know, I can't really judge people, been divorced, been in jail, been at top of the game, but at the bottom of the game, you know, Range Rovers to thinking about, 2015 Honda Civic. You know, like but the universe always provides if you ask the right way, but sometimes you got to put in the work to get it. Um, and then, you know, just looking for opportunities to partner with people in real estate deals, and looking for people who want to partner. You know, there's some people who love doing the day-to-day grind, but their big vision is missing. So partner with people to help bring vision and structure and coaching and sustainability into their businesses, and hopefully bring more profitability, and partner with some people that way.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you then, Vikram. Is there any way that people could connect with you that you wanted to share at all, or?
Yeah, so on Instagram, I'm Vikram underscore Deol underscore. So my first name, last name with underscores. There's not very many Vikram Deols though. So when you see it, you'll see my mug. I don't know if it'll have facial hair or head hair. You can go to Facebook as well, Vikram Deol. LinkedIn a little bit, same thing, Vikram Deol. So, those are the places, probably most active on Instagram and Facebook. So if you want to get a hold of me, reach out there. LinkedIn, I don't really check.
All right. Well, then we will see you there. Thank you again for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Sheila.
All right. Bye. Okay. So when I mapped out the Boots formula and the outline to this book, I made sure that I included a support community of friends so that we can all share our stories, inspire and empower one another, just like that beautiful community that's carried me through all these years. And so here it is, my latest book. I have to let you know something, just between you and me. This book is not one size fits all, just like a pair of boots or a bra. So the formula is designed to help you through any situation.